What if getting better at something is not about talent at all, but about physically changing your brain? When someone becomes skilled at playing piano, shooting a basketball, coding, or even speaking confidently, something measurable changes inside their brain. It is not motivation, it is not willpower, it is wiring. By the end of this video, you will understand what neuroplasticity really is, what gray matter and white matter do, why repetition physically changes your nervous system, and why the way you practice matters more than the number of hours you put in. Let's start simple. Your brain is made of two main types of tissue, gray matter and white matter. Gray matter is where processing happens. It handles information. It interprets sensory input. It makes decisions. It directs signals. If you touch something hot, gray matter helps recognize that sensation and decide to pull your hand away. White matter is different. White matter is made mostly of nerve fibers. These fibers are long extensions of nerve cells. They are called axons. Think of axons like cables. When gray matter decides to send a signal, that signal travels down these cables. If you decide to move your arm, the signal starts in the brain. It travels down the spinal cord. It continues through chains of axons. Eventually, it reaches your muscles. Then your arm moves. So gray matter processes, white matter transmits. Now here is where it becomes interesting. Those axons in white matter are wrapped in a fatty substance called myelin. Myelin works like insulation around an electrical wire. If you have ever seen a power cable, you know the metal wire inside is covered with a protective coating. That coating prevents energy from leaking out. It allows electricity to move quickly and efficiently. Myelin does the same thing for nerve signals. The thicker the myelin around an axon, the faster and more efficiently signals travel. And this is where practice changes everything. When you repeat a skill, you are not just getting used to it. You are increasing myelin around the specific neural pathways used for that skill. Each repetition adds layers. More layers mean better insulation. Better insulation means faster, cleaner signals. Cleaner signals mean smoother movement, better timing, more accuracy. Over time, the action feels automatic, not because it is easy, but because the signal pathway has become highly insulated. This is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means the brain can change its structure and wiring in response to experience. It is not fixed. It is not static. It adapts to what you repeatedly do. If you practice piano daily, the neural pathways for finger coordination strengthen. If you practice negative self-talk daily, those pathways strengthen too. The brain does not judge what you repeat. It builds what you use. Now let's go a little deeper. When you first try something new, signals move slowly. The pathway is thin. There is little myelin. You make mistakes. Movements feel awkward. You have to think through each step. This is normal. It does not mean you are bad at it. It means the pathway is undeveloped. With repetition, the brain responds by reinforcing that pathway. But here is something important. Repetition alone is not enough. The quality of repetition matters. Mastery is not simply about the number of hours you practice. It is about how you practice. If you repeat mistakes, you are insulating mistakes. If you rush through movements carelessly, you are strengthening sloppy coordination. Because remember, the brain builds what you repeatedly do, not what you intend to do. This is why effective practice looks different from mindless repetition. Effective practice is focused. It is deliberate. It targets weaknesses that sit just beyond your current ability. It operates at the edge of your comfort zone. Not so easy that you can do it without thinking. Not so hard that you are overwhelmed, right at the boundary where mistakes happen, but learning is possible. This zone is sometimes called the learning zone. Inside this zone, the brain is forced to adapt. It detects errors, it corrects them, it refines signals. Each correction adds clarity to the pathway. Now consider attention. Attention is not just about concentration. Attention tells the brain what is important. When you focus intensely on a task, you signal to the brain that this activity matters. The brain responds by allocating more resources, more reinforcement, more insulation. If you practice while distracted, the signal weakens. Your brain divides its resources, learning slows down. This is why minimizing distractions is not just about discipline, it is about biology. Focused repetition accelerates insulation. Distracted repetition weakens it. There is another principle that surprises many people. Slow practice builds speed. When you practice slowly, you give your brain time to coordinate movements accurately. You reduce errors. You build clean pathways. If you rush too early, you wire inconsistency. Gradually increasing speed after accuracy is established leads to smoother performance. It may feel counterintuitive, but slow and precise is faster in the long term. Another important element is rest. After intense focus, the brain needs breaks. During rest, consolidation happens. Neural connections stabilize. Myelin production continues. This is why short, focused practice sessions with breaks are often more effective than long, unfocused sessions. The brain adapts best in cycles: focus, rest, repeat. There is also something powerful about mental rehearsal. When you vividly imagine performing a skill, many of the same neural circuits activate as when you physically perform it. The signal is weaker, but it is real. Visualization can strengthen pathways. This is why athletes mentally rehearse movements. This is why musicians imagine playing passages. The brain does not fully distinguish between vividly imagined repetition and physical repetition. Both contribute to wiring. Now let's connect this to everyday life. Neuroplasticity is not just about learning instruments or sports. It applies to identity, it applies to habits, it applies to emotional responses. If you repeatedly react with anger in stressful situations, you are strengthening that pathway. If you repeatedly practice calm breathing and deliberate response, you strengthen that pathway. Instead, if you constantly tell yourself you are bad at math or not disciplined, those thought patterns reinforce specific circuits. With repetition, they feel automatic. They feel like personality, but they are trained responses. The brain builds what it uses. This means improvement is possible in almost any domain, but it also means inaction strengthens existing patterns. Doing nothing is not neutral. It reinforces the current wiring. Here is the shift: if skill and behavior are built through insulation of pathways, then improvement is not mysterious. It is mechanical. You choose a skill. You practice deliberately at the edge of your ability. You focus deeply. You correct mistakes. You repeat consistently. You rest. You repeat again. Over time, the pathway thickens. Performance improves. Confidence increases as a result, not as a cause. You do not wait to feel confident before practicing. You practice until the wiring changes. Then confidence follows. This removes some of the emotion from the process. You are not bad at something. You are simply early in the insulation process. You are building cables, and cables take repetition to strengthen. This understanding changes how you view difficulty. Struggle is not proof of incapability. It is proof that the pathway is under construction. Mistakes are not failures. They are signals the brain uses to refine wiring. The key question becomes simple: what are you repeatedly practicing? Not just in skills, but in thoughts, in reactions, in daily habits. Because repetition is always happening, the brain is always adapting. The only variable is direction. In the next video, we will go one level deeper. We will explore how habits form, how repeated behaviors move from conscious effort to automatic routine, and how the brain shifts control from deliberate processing to efficient execution. Once you understand that transition, you will see why some behaviors feel hard to change, and how to redesign them. For now, remember this: your brain is not fixed. It responds to repetition. It insulates what you practice, and mastery is not about time alone. It is about deliberate, focused repetition at the edge of your ability. The wiring follows the work.